Hi guys. All right. Good to go. Am I audible? First and foremost, welcome to a very important session. Let me just check the technicalities once so that we are very good to go. Just a second, guys. Yeah. Perfect. Audible? Just let me know I'm audible. Good to go. Let us have a very important discussion. By the way, for those of you who don't know me, I am a CA Shalabh Hajela and we are going to discuss today LMR, last minute revision for Audit and Assurance. Your exam on Monday, right? आप सबका exam है Monday और we will be discussing now what things we are supposed to take care of, revise very quickly the important things, do the ABC analysis, work on strategy as in on what things we can work on the very last day. All right, just let me check on the technicality stuff once so that we are good to go. Perfect. So it's 6-1. I think all your friends, many of your friends have joined the session. A few of them might will be joining as well. So let us not waste any time today. Every minute counts. All right, let's start with the strategy. So Monday you are giving paper of Audit and Assurance, right? Very good. Now, sir, how do we study? And since this is a YouTube live, so this session is not just confined to our regular batch students. Of course, the strategies discussed will be same, but I'm assuming that there are many other students who need help as well because there are thousands and thousands of views on our videos. So this will cover all the broad aspects. Even if you have not taken regular lectures from us, even then this will be useful. So first and foremost is, okay, so you have started studying for the Audit Assurance today. You have gone through some of your notes, some of your books. All right, now what next? What needs to be done from at the just at the point after this lecture ends? What needs to be done? First and foremost, my advice will be that in examination you don't get marks for the knowledge you have. You get marks for the answer that you write in your answer sheet. Understand this is a very important thing that I've learned in my life as a student and as a faculty. You get marks for writing the correct answer, and that's it. You may have all the knowledge in the world, but if you're not reproducing the right answer, all right, if you're not reproducing the right answer, doesn't work. You may not have any knowledge, but if you've written the right answer of the question, that helps you to get the pass marks. So how do we revise, sir? Do we revise? See, these are our study notes of Zell. This is our study notebook. You might be following this, you might be following any other author. Fine. These notes are these notes are good when you need to learn a concept. Now we are not learning a concept today, right? So my advice is that the more you revise through questions, the more helpful it will be. Keep your notes with you, keep your text, whatever text you have referred, keep it with you. Refer it only when you have a conceptual issue or you need to go to a particular topic to kind of check your knowledge. Now from this point of time to the point of entering into your examination room, you need to revise as many questions as you can. Good thing for you is that your syllabus is not very vast, and after studying the past examination papers, there is a trend of the points getting repeated. So I'll tell you this very in a simpler way. I checked, we have mock test in Zell, right, for all the students, repetitive mock test. So when I checked those papers, I realized you guys are comparatively fine with MCQ thing. The MCQ thing is in your comfort zone, but you're finding it tough. Though in Zell we have done a very comprehensive training of theory questions, but still in comparison, I feel that students find it little tough, out of my experience, to deal with theory questions. Now, what all needs to be done while preparing? The time has gone. We have one day. How can we make the most of it? To make the most of it, you will need your friend. Who? Me? Of course, I'm your friend. But there is even a better friend that you have. That is ACCA website. So a few of the important things that you need to do to get an unfair advantage, what I say, an unfair advantage, is first go through this. This is your homepage, right? ACCA Global homepage. Go to the students segment, just a thing, exam. I'm taking you from the scratch. I know you hardly visit this website. There are so many other interesting websites to visit. Well, isn't it? No, this one is more interesting from nowadays. Okay. Where do we find this? Just a second. Student study support resources, actually, not exam, study support resources. Excuse me. We are going for ACCA qualification. All right. We are going for the favorite subject, the most easiest, the most scoring, audit and assurance. By the way, why can't I see it? Yeah, here it is, right there. All right. Now this very particular page is an important one. If you don't reach on your this is a YouTube live. This will get recorded on your YouTube. You can revisit it. Just listen to me for the time being. So instead of opening a tab in your browser and searching for this, just listen. So this page is an important page. One very important thing that you have to do is past exam library. This is your, as I can say, Brahmastra, if I can say. The best way to revise entire syllabus. Now you need to revise entire syllabus. Your audit textbook may be of 200, 300, 400 pages, considering the author you are referring, not less than 250 to 350 pages at, on an average. So what do you want to do? Do you want to go through 350 pages or even 400 pages of a textbook just before exam? Not advisable. Go touch it, kind of brush your concepts if required. Best thing is, what you can do is, these are 7 past year question papers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 past year questions with, of course, 7 solved answers. These answers are solved. All you need to do is just revise all these 7 papers multiple times if you have issue with theory questions. I can to a large extent say that the points in the theory questions get repeated. They are around more or less the same 14, 15 or maybe 20 points. Be it IFRS 15, where you recognize revenue before performance obligations gets completed. Be it inventory valuation. Be it inventory check. Be it provisions. Alright, be it director giving themselves remuneration on the basis of profit, oversetting of profit. Be it estimates which management is making different from past year. So the number of points are more or less 20 to 25, and you will see that the points are getting repeated in the past year exam. All right, you will feel that once you go through the past year exam, that the points are getting repeated. So narrow down your learning curve now. You don't have to go through 500 pages of your text now, because the time is limited. Go through past year questions at least twice. All the theory questions. There are 3 questions, one for 30 marks and 2 for 20 marks, right? Go through them multiple times. This will help you get 5 to 7 marks more in theory questions. First thing. All right, so as you say, of course, second important thing is, which many of you tend to leave. Now again, for those of you, for our students as in who have taken our regular batch, you might be saying, so we have heard this many a times, but still it's important for you to hear once again, right? Second important thing is, again, technical articles. Now what we did as in Zell, what we did while teaching the regular batch, these technical articles were discussed in the class. Now for those of you who haven't read this, don't worry. Take it easy. First of all, you don't have to worry. If you have gone through the course once, trust your preparation. One important thing during exam is trusting your preparation. So if I say any such, every faculty will have a way out of reaching an exam. Everybody has a thought process of reaching how to make the most of exam. It may happen that you might have studied from some other faculty. So don't get afraid. Just take it easy first and foremost. Don't get afraid what this technical article is. This is important. This won't take more than I'll say 40 minutes, or maybe let's say 40 to 45 minutes. Or after session today, once you have your dinner, if you're tired, you are not feeling like studying, just go through these articles. Why? Because what I have figured out is they pick questions, MCQ sometimes from these. Risk and understanding the entity, or SA 315. Assertions. Assertions is something which most of the students find it difficult. But if you go through these technical articles, laws and regulations, ISA 265. Okay. Before I go forward with discussion, a doubt which many a times I am asked by the students is, sir, do we need to learn ISA number like 240 fraud? All right, all this 230 documentation, 500 audit evidence, all this, do I need to mug them up? See, now if you have been revising your syllabus thoroughly, repetitively, it would have stuck in your mind. If you don't remember them right now, do not try to mug them up today. You should write ISA number only when you are confident that you are writing the right number. Don't guess. See, there is no specific marks for writing a ISA number, but since audit is a theory paper. Now, in theory paper, you are, you play with the brain of examiner. You let him know, see, I am the student who has worked hard. I know ISA numbers, but only if you know the right ISA numbers. Be very, particular about this. If you don't know the right ISA numbers, don't write the wrong ISA numbers. This will be a mess. So if you remember them, good. If you don't remember them, try just going through them maybe once or twice. All right. And if you are not remembering them, no worries. Write relevant standards, standards on auditing. Just write the word as per the relevant standards on auditing. So this solves this problem. You have to go through these articles once. And I promise you just one reading, and if you find any important point, just jotting that point down, whatever your one study material is. Now coming to study material. What study material, sir, are we supposed to follow? There is a whole bunch of short notes on the Telegram channels that we are part of. There is our one, study text, all bunch of books that we have. We have books from our tuition providers. We have whatnot, all the resources in this world. See, now you are going to give your exams on Monday, right? There's no point of doing PhD right now. Just follow one book that you have been following. And that can be any material. That can be the book that Zell has provided. That can be just one book that you have been following all your preparation time, because you know that book. You know what content is written where. You're familiar with that. All right. Do not pick up any new source of studying, or any new chapter which you haven't studied so far. I'm assuming that since you day after we have your exams, so we have gone through at least all the chapters once. If not advisable to start. This is according me. I'll not advise any student to start with any new chapter at this point of time if you haven't started. Whatever you know, play on your strengths. Don't try to strengthen your weakness, rather play on your strengths. All right, so whatever you know, just revise that. So this is regarding study resources to be followed. What I would have been, what would have I done had I been a student? I would have followed this book, Audit and Assurance Question Bank of Zell, because had I studied from the Zell, I would have received this book. I would have been revising from this book. This would have been my go-to book now, because I want to reproduce right answers of the question that will be asked in the examination. And these are all high probability questions that our team researches and puts into the material. Right. So what I'll advise is, if you've gone through your material of your text, of your study notes properly once, go through a text, this question book. All right, just go through as many questions as you can. Now, if you say, sir, I don't have question book, or maybe I was studying from a Kaplan or a BPP or a XYZ, now what do I do? See, of course, there will be questions in that book as well. Go through them. But again, here comes the point, what I told you just 5-10 minutes back. What you have to do is go for the ACCA. Issue solved. Go on the ACCA website. See this. Go on the ACCA website, where I showed you past year examinations, right? Go on that and go through all the 7 past year exams. Clear? So one thing to be done is, now write down the points if you want to write. Going through the technical articles, going through all the 7 past year questions that you're supposed to go through, and go through your theory answers thoroughly. Don't just read them as you say, ऊपर से पढ़ लिया. In my days as a student, we used to say audit का audit कर लिया. So don't do audit ka audit. Don't do just half a review. Give full review. So study all the questions thoroughly. Second point. Technical articles thing sorted. All right. So this kind of sums up our strategy to prepare. Second thing, one issue with us is today after this session you will study something, you will sleep. Tomorrow when you get up, now early morning you have a lot of energy. So you try to pick up the tough things. Try to pick up things which you think you are not good at, needs more of your processing of your brain, because your brain will be fresh. All right. Don't keep them for last, because till the by the night your brain would have been much more stressed, much more overworked, so it won't be able to pick up those things. So things which you are very good at, see, are as a human are in, this is how it works. We want to pick up those chapters we are good in, right? This is how it works. But don't do that. Keep them for later, because even if your brain is stressed, even if you're tired, you can revise them quickly. Tomorrow morning when you get up, try to go through theory topics first. These big questions. I'll discuss one of these questions and I'll tell you how to answer them very quickly, one of the questions, because we have a limited time and so much more to discuss. All right. Okay, this pretty much sums up our strategy of how we are going to approach the preparation. This is our audit strategy, as we say. This is a strategy. Now we have to make plan. Okay, this is one of the ways to make you quickly revise. Audit strategy is a larger picture of time, nature and extent of your audit procedures. Audit planning is much more specific of which resource will do what work, of what is the materiality level, right? Now strategy is decided. Now we'll be diving into the plan. Perfect. So for that, I need you to, so I thought of how I can, make you revise the entire syllabus in such a short time, a glimpse, as I can say. So one of the way out that I figured out because of this awesome study material is, in Zell notes we have given summary of international standards on auditing, all the ISAs. Now you will say, sir, are ISAs so important? I mean, why are we discussing ISAs right now? Friends, all your chapters, if you study going concern, right? If you study going concern, if you study management representation letter, if you study overall objectives, if you study substantive procedures, all of them are ISAs. So if you revise entire ISAs, you revise almost 70 to 75% of your course. All right. So by quickly going through the ISAs, what we can do is we can have a glimpse of entire course. So let us get started. And if someone, let me again consider all the types of options that we may have. If any one of you who hasn't studied ISAs yet, here the concerned student has studied the chapters, don't worry, the chapters will have the topic, the content from ISAs only. They are ISAs only with a chapter name. So do not worry, when you'll read them, you'll be able to connect with whatever you have studied from regular chapters. All right, now the ISA 200, this is the starting point. This talks about overall objectives of independent auditor. Now, before I start with detailed discussion, what is auditor supposed to do? This is a very important line. Answer me quickly. I know I'll hear you. Don't worry. Even this is a YouTube live. I know we are on the other sides of the screen. No worries. I'll still hear you. Tell me, what is auditor supposed to do in the easiest of the term? Come on, shout louder. Yeah, I can hear some of your voices. See, auditor is just supposed to give his opinion whether financial statements are free from material misstatement or not. A auditor's duty is to just give an opinion. Sometimes while writing answer, you people, all the students tend to get mixed up between auditor's responsibility and a management's responsibility. A auditor, if you are an external auditor, if you are a statutory auditor, if you are an external auditor, statutory auditor as we say, your responsibility is not to improve the internal controls or not to give better recommendations. Your responsibility as an auditor is to give opinion whether financial statements are free from material misstatement or not. If you are internal auditor, that's where the part of giving suggestions on how to improve internal controls, recommendations, that's where it comes in. So be very specific of as a whom you are writing answers. See, it tends to happen kind of a multiple personality disorder kind of a stuff, because you are learning things from management's perspective, you are learning things from internal auditor's perspective, and that external auditor's perspective as well. Now, what happens is while writing answer, You tend to have multiple personality disorders. As in, we are writing answer from the viewpoint of auditor, external auditor, but sometimes we kind of switch to management and start writing as a management. Don't do that. Be very specific of what question is asking. Who are you? Are you an auditor? Write answer accordingly. So as an auditor, as an independent external auditor, you are supposed to give an opinion whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement or not. That's it. Objectives of auditor. You have how will you give opinion? See, you are supposed to give opinion. Not just audit opinion. Opinion on anything is based on what? Certain evidences, right? So an auditor should give his audit opinion which is based on sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. This is an important keyword. All right. Now, while drafting your theory answers again, as I checked many theory answers of many students, I realized one issue is that you tend to know the concept. This will be an issue with many of you. You tend to know the concept, but the issue is you're not able to reproduce it in the answer sheet that impactfully. Now, how do I solve this? That too in a one day. See, what I used to do was, again, I used to have a big drawing sheet before my theory paper, a big sheet, drawing sheet, rough paper, anything, before my theory exams as a student when I was a student. And I used to write down all these keywords in the paper while studying. Now, see, for instance, if you're going through one of the topic, you see an operative word, write it in that paper, just that word. Now, by the end of your entire revision, by the end of your tomorrow night, you'll have a page full of key operating words. And just before going into the examination, or just half an hour before that, if you just go through that paper, all these words, all these key operative words, sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, engagement team, engagement partner, external quality review, all these words, they will stay with you. So do this. If you're not able to improve the quality of your answers, whatever you are studying, whenever you find a word that you feel you won't be able to reproduce, just write it down in a piece of paper and keep writing those words. Not the entire line, just that word. And just before going into the exam, you see that paper, you go through all those words, they are fresh in your memory, you just write them down in the answer, and this increases your marks by 3 to 5 marks. 3 to 5 to 7 marks if you use this activity properly. All right, so do this. All right, going forward, sufficient and appropriate audit evidence are needed to be collected. This is one important thing. Now we will be going through them very quickly. Now there are certain limitations of audit. What is audit risk? See, what is risk? Risk is things going wrong. If I ask what is audit risk, be very specific. So one more important thing that I want to tell all of you. ACCA does not give you marks to write long answers. They give you marks to write specific answers. Trust me, this is not just a moral science or a vague sentence. This has a lot of substance attached to it. We kind of are habitual of writing long answers in our theory papers because this is how our graduation works. Even I have done graduation, but ACCA is different. They want specific answer. Now, if they're asking what is audit risk is the risk that the auditor might give inappropriate opinion where the financial statements are misstated. Audit risk means that the auditor's opinion might be inappropriate. That's it. Now, if you write a one paragraph answer of this, or if you write just these two lines are any day fetching you more marks than any big paragraph. So if any one of you has a plan to write answers in bundles, to fill on sheets, to write long answers, not working. Doesn't help. Rather, this gives impression to the examiner that, oh, this guy is just, cooking up the stories. He won't even read the answers properly. See, in a theory paper, I always say this in my regular lectures, in a theory paper like audit, your answer is never right or wrong. It's not a black and white. There's a big gray in between. You need to improve the quality of your answer. You need to tell the examiner, see, I have done hard work. I know operative words. I know the concepts. I'll not write some vague stories. I'll write specific answers. Work on that. Still, you have sufficient time to kind of fine tune these things. Alright, now this is agreeing upon the terms of audit engagement, ISA 210. Whenever you get a new engagement, what are you supposed to do? You have to check, is there any threat any threat of familiarity, any any kind of threat, intimidation threat, familiarity threat, self-interest threat, all those threats that, okay, I may not be able to be independent. Oh, this is my friend. Oh, this is my relative. Oh, I have just worked in this company a year ago. All right, now what am I supposed to do? See, wherever there is a issue in with the independence or conflict of interest, as I always say this to my students, the first option is never leave audit. Don't write leave audit. See, the ACCA does not want you to leave the audits, because if you leave the audits, how will you earn? Try to figure out a way before that. Maybe we can have a quality control review. We can have an external quality control review. We can keep a check on the engagement team. Right? Sometimes it may happen that you are having audit of two competitor entities. For the sake of example, quick understanding, let's just say Flipkart and Amazon. Now what do? You are auditor of both. Now you won't say that I leave the audit of one of the entities. Don't leave the work. Rather, try to be much more independent in that. That all the engagement teams, all the member of the engagement teams will be totally different. They'll never be allowed to hip hop between the go to and fro between these two entities. All right, the separate external quality control reviewer will be hired for both the different entities, so on and so forth. And again, as I'm saying, engagement team, instead of writing auditors, we can say engagement partner. Engagement team is the team which works under auditor. So try to use all these words. Second thing which comes to my mind right now is, because we have to deal with so many things in so little time, that's why you need to be very attentive. Second thing is, sir, do we need to know IFRS? Do we need to know IFRS, sir? See, if I'll tell you in yes or no, there is again, if I say yes, that's better. If you know IFRS, because few of the IFRS, if not all, few of the IFRS, IFRS 15, which talks about revenue, there are very high chances that there can be a audit procedure point on this. That what happened is that you have been given money, you have received money, but you haven't you haven't completed the performance obligation yet. So this should not be booked as revenue, because as per IFRS 15, you can only recognize revenue. You can only recognize revenue when the performance obligation has been satisfied. Now there are two types of problem with these things. One problem is that a student doesn't know this concept. Now it's too late for you to pick up a new concept. I would advise still try to go through past year questions again and again. That will help. But I'm not assuming there are many such students who don't know this concept. Now the second is where the majority lies. You know this concept and you write it down, but when I see it as an examiner, I don't feel that quality. The content is there. The concept is there. Instead of writing, we cannot recognize revenue because we have not completed the job. We will only recognize this revenue when we complete the job. Now your concept is right, but I'll tell you how to write this. You can write this. As per the IFRS 15 revenue recognition, revenue can be recognized only in the books of accounts when the performance obligation has been satisfied. And as given in this case, since the performance obligation is yet not satisfied, the amount received will not be recognized as revenue, rather will be accounted as advance received. Get it? Same concept, different ways of producing the answer. That is what fetches marks in audit. Alright, one important standard is IFRS 15, one is IS 29 which talks about provision, one I would say is IS 10 which talks about subsequent events, can be asked somewhere, right? Property, plant and equipment, IS 16 again is all the more important. IS 16 property, plant and equipment is asked a few times regarding depreciation, regarding revaluation of property, plant and equipment, so on and so forth. So these are 4-5 standards which I expect you to know in little more detail and use their operative words. Again, sir, are we supposed to write the IFRS number? Yes, only if you remember them precisely, you are sure that you are writing the right number, else do not write them. Writing right number might give you a little upper advantage, little unfair advantage, but writing wrong will definitely snatch away your marks. So if you don't remember the right IFRS or IS number, and if you want to quote a standard, you can say as per relevant IFRS or as per relevant standards on accounting. All right, sorted. Okay. Quality control for audit of financial statements. How can we have quality control? Again, this is about professional skepticism. right? Professional skepticism, independence, external quality review. Now use these words again. Professional skepticism, all right? Quality control review. Quality control can be done only, the one of the most important characteristic of an auditor is independence. So write your answer around independence, write your answer around professional competence. I may be independent, I am not biased, but I am not competent enough. What if I am not competent enough to perform an audit, right? So first thing is independence, of course. Second thing is audit, how competent I am to maintain the quality. All right, 230 is again a very important standard. Audit documentation. Audit documentation is absolutely important because in practical audit world, we need to document everything that we do, right? So all the things should be documented in audit while doing audit. Try to use this in, procedures. What procedures will you perform? That 20 mark question that gets asked, that what are the audit procedures that you'll get to perform, make sure you put ISA 230 audit documentation in that. They'll will document all these proofs that we are receiving. All right, ISA 240 talks about what are your responsibilities as an auditor in respect of fraud. Now listen again, here comes the point. You are auditor, not management. It is management's primary responsibility to ensure that frauds are prevented, detected, and corrected. It is management's primary responsibility to ensure that frauds are prevented, detected, and corrected. Alright, then what is my responsibility as an auditor, sir? Your responsibility is to ensure that while you are auditing, there is no fraud that is visible while you are applying your audit procedures. And if there is one, you need to consider its impact, that whether is it material. See, as an auditor, if you find a $1 mistake or a 10 rupee mistake, you are not supposed to consider that important. Why? Because it is not material. Now again comes the point, what is material? If a question comes whether this audit evidence is, whether this fraud is material or not, how do you determine whether a thing is material or not? If it's a 2 marks question, if I ask you, okay, how do you describe or how do you define a materiality in audit evidence? Comment. Try to come up with some answer. Any? Okay, I've heard enough answers. Few of them are good. All our students must be shouting what we discussed in the class. See, materiality means a thing, a fraud, a error is material only if it can influence the decision of users of financial information. If it can change, anything can be material, will be material only if it can influence the decision of users of financial statement. This is just one line answer. This is what ACCA wants. All right, and one more thing. In order to figure out what all ACCA wants, see, in our answers book, see, we have discussed the answer here in our Zell answer book, and post that answer we have also provided marking scheme of what point fetches you which marks, what point fetches you how many marks, if you can see. All right, all these things are mentioned. Now for instance, if you don't have a Zell book, oh sir, what should I do? Don't worry. If you'll go through the ACCA website and if you download the past year solution, there you will find all these things, where after every answer the examination team have told you that this point gives you this many marks. All right, so be sure that you do your preparation around these things, that what all points will fetch you how many marks. All right, this is with the quality control thing. Documentation is done. Fraud we have discussed. Laws and regulations. Now we follow IFRS standards to kind of check whether the financial statements are prepared, whether entries are passed as per IFRS or not. But there are certain other laws as well, right, which we need to check. For instance, the Companies Act of the law of the land. So as an auditor, we are supposed to check those laws and regulations compliance as well, which may have material impact on financial statements. All right. Now, if you're not following any let's just say you're doing an audit of the company. If they are not following any environmental laws, so as an auditor, does it concern you? Only to an extent that there might be a penalty and there needs to be a provision for that. Right? You are auditing financial statements. You're not there for audit of environmental audit, right? So when you are doing going there as an external auditor, if the company is not following, let's just say, the environmental acts, your concern is you're not following environmental acts. Is there any penalty? Yes. Is there a penalty? Make provision for it. IS 29. That's your answer. All right. So as a auditor, you are supposed to receive what? Sufficient and appropriate audit evidences that all the provisions of required law are complied with. Now, what if you find deficiencies? What if you find fraud? What if you find there is laws not complied with? What do you do then? Do you leave the audit? Do you directly put it in your audit report? No, you communicate the deficiencies to those charged with governance. You need to talk to them. See, ISA 260 and 265 deals with this only. You need to talk with those charged with governance. Those charged with governance means who are overseeing the strategic direction of the entity. Now, this is top management. One of the easier words for them is top management. But I'll advise you to use those charged with governance. Not a very tough word to remember. Those charged with governance. Those who are being charged with the responsibility of governing the company, right? So you discuss things with them. First and foremost, you don't go to the audit and just start doing your audit. You discuss things with them. In 265, you communicate the deficiencies in the internal controls. Now, again, it is here an important topic about internal controls. Now, understand this. A entity, let's just say there is a big FMCG company. FMCG company means a big company which procures material, processes it and sells it, and there are maybe 80 or 100 products under their portfolio. Companies like Nestle, P&G, Patanjali, all these are big FMCG companies. Now they will have lot of internal controls. Are you supposed to check everything? No, you are supposed to check internal controls on financial reporting, ICFR. Internal controls which impact financial reporting. All right, here comes your 2 points which may be asked, which are asked very often in audit procedures, which pertains to inventory, purchase and sell. And all my Zell students, you should be knowing this very well. What is coming next? Yeah, I can hear you. Goods received note, goods dispatch note. Yes. Very well done. See, this is an important concept that I'll try to cover in as quickly as I can. If you haven't studied this, I'll advise you, because this will be I believe this will be a part of any of your answers for sure. There's a thing, there's a concept, there's a control of, see, as a company, this is a company. Quickly understand this. This is a company. Goods come in, goods go out. The purchase, you purchase things, you sell things, right? So there is a lot of scope for manipulations here. The inventory holder might sell it. There might be fake invoicing, fake purchasing, so on and so forth. So there's a proper setup of internal controls. We say goods received note. Whenever we get receive any goods, we make a good receive note. Now, whenever we are receiving goods, it must be checked with a purchase order. We must have raised a purchase order that we need these goods. Then we would have received those goods. Then we will make a good received note. Then we will need to pay for those goods. We will receive an invoice. So we check our purchase order from good received note to our invoice. All right. This is one of the controls of your purchase. When you purchase a thing. Now, when you sell a thing, you must have received an order. That is called sales order. When you receive a sales order, you pack up your material, you dispatch your goods. That is called goods dispatched note. Right? And then you raise an invoice to the company to give them money, to give you money. Now, your sales order received should be checked with good dispatch note, should be checked with invoice issued, not received. Because I'm selling goods here. I will receive money, so I will issue invoice. Right? This process should be very well structured in your mind. This will be, I'm very, I'm kind of I'm putting my money on this, that this concept will be asked at least for 3 to 4 marks in one of the audit procedures theory answers. So be ready with this. Okay, let's move ahead quickly. Audit planning 300. This benefits of planning. Dr. Apak is an expert, guys. Most of our student again will know this code. For those of you who don't know, write this down, it may help you. This is a code that I have made. A stands for appropriate attention, P stands for potential problem, A stands for APEC. Alright, DR stands for direction and supervision, E stands for effective and efficient, and expert stands for expert and audit team. This is a half answer written here, like it's a summary. If you'll go through the detailed answer in your books. So Dr. Apak is an expert means A means appropriate and attention, P means potential problems, E means efficient and effective, expert means it can help you, you can take the help of expert while doing audit of technical things. This is how it is. Now this is again a very important point. Contents of audit strategy. It was asked as a question in exam in few attempts back, that you are auditor, you are the manager, and you are supposed to make a audit strategy sheet. What will be in the audit strategy sheet? Now imagine we are not discussing this. Out of your own common sense of studying audit that you have done so well for past so many days, you're working so hard. See, again, important point coming up. If you're not paying attention, pay attention. No matter how tough paper is, there can be two things. Paper can be tough, paper can be easy. See, I've given many papers in my life. I've passed most all of them. Of course, I flunged my CA finals once, and then I reappeared, and then I passed. So the thing is, there will be tough papers, there will be easy papers. What are you supposed to do? If your question paper is tough, gather yourself, don't lose yourself, think. You have worked so hard, your logics are good. Think and try to reproduce the best answer that you can produce out of the logics that you know, out of the understanding that you have. Don't run away, don't give up. Running away is not just in the literal sense that you throw your pen and run away from the exam center. Running away is also in the emotional sense, that sometimes the paper is tough, you don't giving like the paper. You lose your intent of giving the paper. You are like, I'm done, I'll appear in the next attempt. Don't do that. Sometimes they're checking your intent. If the paper is tough, it's not just for you, it's for all the students who are giving with you. Try to give your best shot, fight. It happens, you end up passing with, at the margin line if you don't give up. This is if the paper is tough. If the question that you are seeing, you haven't studied this, don't start crying, oh, my faculty did not teach me this, or this wasn't in the book I studied. Relax, think. You are a smart fellow now. Right? Think, apply all the logics that you can and give your best shot. If you are given 3 hours, 15 minutes, 10 minutes to be precise, if you are given 190 minutes to solve a paper, you should use 190 minutes. If you use 188 minutes and sit idle for 2 minutes, not a good usage. So fight till the end moment if a paper is tough. And now again, a very important thing. What if paper is easy? If paper is easy, we tend to become so happy. Oh wow, all the questions that are here, I've reviewed all of them. And in happy hypoxia, what we do is we do not read the question carefully. Sometimes the MCQ will say which of them is not a part of this. You will not study not. You will just study which of them part of this. You will just click on, tick on the points which are part of this particular standard or part of this particular procedure. So if the paper is easy, gather all your attention. Because it is again easy for all the students. Now they will also write as good answers as you are writing. So you need to be better than them. This is a competitive paper, right? This is one important advice. Now one of my students called me and she said, sir, I studied, I found this question of content of audit strategy. She might have missed to study this, which is fine. You are human. She said, sir, you did not teach me this, and how do I write this answer? I told her, just take it calm, take it easy. What do you think should be part of an audit strategy document? You are strategizing audit. What will be the nature, time, extent, who will do what work, how will you allocate, what will be the materiality levels, right? How will you apply procedures, what test of controls, what substantive procedures? That's it. Nature, timing, preliminary engagement, risk assessment, characteristics of engagement, what are your objectives? That's it. All right. So understand, you understand how audit works. So now don't do this in every answer. If you know the answer, try to reproduce the same points that you remember. If you don't, then go by the logic. I think I'm very clear. Now let us quickly, now this is a very important standard, guys. 315, 320, 330, they are backbone of your audit. Identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment. We understand the entity. We understand whether this is an online company, this is an aggregator, this is a production company, trading company, service industry, third-party administrator. What is it? Right? And accordingly, we plan our audit strategies, our audit procedures. We respond to the risk assessed. 315 is very, very important standard. You cannot afford to miss this. If you have not studied this at all, I would advise you to go through it once. 315, I've asked you that if you haven't studied anything, please don't go through it again. But 315, 320, 330 are an exception. In my opinion, they are an exception. You are supposed to know them. They will be part of so many answers. All right. So this basically tells you about how you will understand the entity and identify that, oh, where things can go wrong. What is the, quantum of risk? Oh, they are good with their sales and purchase, but they're bad with their inventory. Oh, they are good with their inventory, sales and purchase, but they're bad with their payroll. Where do I need to put more attention? Is the financial controller good? Is the credit controller good? Are there controls for purchase good? Are there controls for payroll good? You will understand and then plan your audit further. See, here in 315, you understand the quantity. In 320, you decide what is the materiality. This is very important standard. Let me very quickly tell you what is materiality. All right, you cannot provide an absolute assurance, right? In audit, you provide reasonable assurance, never absolute assurance. Again, these are operative words. Audit evidence is pervasive, not conclusive. You provide reasonable assurance, not absolute assurance. All these are operative words. So in audit, you need to decide more the risk, less the materiality level, and more the checking. See, what is materiality level? Let's just say you find a file with 10,000 items. 10,000 invoices are there in a purchase invoice. 10,000 items. Now you have assessed purchase. You said that the controls are not good in purchase. They are not issuing any, purchase order. There is no good received note. They are not reconciling. After applying 315, you have identified a risk that purchase is not done properly. They are not good controls. Now, what will you do? What will a person with sane mind will do? He will check more documents. He will say, I will check every purchase or bill more than 1,000 rupees. If any purchase is more than $1,000 or rupees or whatever, 1,000 currency units, I'll check it. Now, earlier he would have checked 3,000 only. If things would have been fine, he would have checked 3,000. But now he will check 1,000. So he's putting this is called materiality level. This is materiality level. That I will reduce my materiality level when the risk is high. So if I reduce my materiality level, I check more documents. Materiality level means what is that cutoff point above which I need to check all the documents. This is materiality level. And then what is performance materiality? See, I am checking all the purchase invoices which are above 1,000. But what if there is a issue with 1,000 invoices which are less than which are worth 800 only? 1,000 into 800. This is a huge amount. This is around 8 lakhs. This is a huge amount. Though this is less than the materiality level, but put together in aggregate, because this error is in 1,000 invoices. So performance materiality is even less than materiality. I'll say my materiality level is 1,000, but my performance materiality level is 600 only. What if small little errors put together in aggregate surpass my materiality level? That is performance materiality. Since we have very limited time, I wish I could have explained you more this and much more, because many students reach out to me from not from our regular lecture. Other than that please explain me this, sir. I've tried my best to explain you this in the quickest time possible. Again, 330 is again very important. Now you have assessed the risk. Now you respond to the risk. How do you respond? By checking, by substantive procedures. You apply test of details, you check assertion levels, you apply analytical procedures, you analyze, you test the details, you vouch, you verify, you identify issues, you put analytical procedures as a response to the risk assessed in SA 315. And what do you do else? You test control. A control, when we say a control is good, I said this point, when it is able to prevent, detect and correct material misstatement. These are operating words. You say control is something which helps you to reduce which helps an entity to reduce this and function properly. I'll give 2 out of 5 marks for this answer. Or rather you say helps in evaluating operating and effective efficiency and prevent, detect and correct any chances of error and fraud. Those are good controls. That's it. Answer closed. At least 3.5, 4 out of 5. Alright. We go for operative words. Again, third party administrator. When the company is using services of another organization, we will check their controls as well. Let's just say I'm not doing my salary part on my own. I've outsourced it to someone else. So I'll have to check their controls. How is this entity, the entity I'm auditing, is kind of, dealing with the third party administrator or the external service organization to which they have outsourced their work. This is basically outsourcing. If you want to write, you can write it here. What if the work of your client is outsourced? How do you evaluate if there is a misstatement? Misstatement means there is a difference of what it should be and what it is. Now you need to evaluate whether it is material or not. How do you do that? Whether this impacts the decision making of the users of financial statements or not. Audit evidence. One word about audit evidence is that the audit evidence should be, I can hear you, come on, complete, sufficient and appropriate. Audit evidence should be sufficient and appropriate for an auditor to form an opinion. How do you get audit evidence? By applying procedures. This will be your 20 marks question tomorrow or day after tomorrow morning in the exam. Apply the audit procedures. What procedures will you apply? You will not just write these words, you will explain, but you should know the starting point. These are the points you have to find in the answer and answer accordingly. External confirmation. Again, this is your primary audit procedure whenever it's about debtors. Whenever you see a debtor thing, you will go for external confirmation. We'll go for an external confirmation. We'll verify the balances. Alright. Analytical procedures. Now, analytical procedures are analyzing. We compare things. See, how do we analyze? We have a trial balance, right? We have figures. Sales, this much. Revenue, cost of sales, this much. Inventory, this much. Your finance cost, administration cost, salary cost, so on and so forth. Now you analyze them. You don't apply, vouching verification. You check. Okay, I'll compare this from past year financials. I'll compare this from budgeted financials. What is expected? I'll compare this from the financials of another company operating in the same industry to find if there is some, link, something wrong with the figures. There is no relation. For instance, if revenue of your company is, let's say, last year revenue was 100 and the electricity bill was 40. Very, very basic example of what analytical procedures are. Last year, the revenue was 100 and the bill was 40. Electricity bill was 40. This year, the revenue is 200. Let me make it easy. This year, the revenue is 200, but electricity bill is 50. And whatever you're producing, you need electricity for that. So isn't it very, very weird that if my sales is increasing by 200%, so needs to be my electricity expenses because I'm producing it. So now you will apply. What is the reason? Is it because the units are same, just the sales price have increased? Or is it because the company has received some subsidy over electricity or the units of electricity is down? This is what analytical process is. You compare. One word, one basic about analytical procedure is comparison. You compare. Alright, and if you're watching this as a recording, I'll advise you don't watch this at 1.5 speed, which you are habitual of. I myself is speaking at 1.5 because I want to cover the ocean in one single drop. Okay, sampling. Sampling is what you do as an auditor. You cannot check anything. You are supposed to provide what? Reasonable assurance and never an absolute assurance. You are auditor. And auditor is a watchdog, not a bloodhound. A very famous phrase. Auditor is a watchdog, not a bloodhound. So you apply sampling. Now there are different types of sampling that you apply. Whenever there's an estimate, again, this is an important part. Wherever there is an estimate involved, again, one more important thing. Listen to me very carefully. Come on, gather your attention. This is about written representation. Now, what do we do when we go to audit? There are certain things which are based on estimates of management. Primary example is provision. All right, primary example is provision. Now, how can we say the provision is wrong or right? Eventually, we have to trust management. Whenever we do that, we get it written down, we get this evidence written down in a management representation letter. So, many of my students ask, sir, can I write this in all the audit procedures? Wherever there is an issue, get this on management representation letter. No, then why are you there for? You are there to perform audit, right? You get only those things written over management representation letter that involve estimates. Though this standard is not about management representation letter, the accounting estimate word is important, which popped this thing in my mind. If anywhere estimate is involved, you can write as a response to audit risk that get this discussed with the management and get this get this management sign this on management representation letter. All right. Subsequent events are events occurring your IS 10. You need to refer IS 10 here, that what if these events occur after balance sheet date and before auditor's report? Do we need to include it? Is it an adjusting event or a non-adjusting event? All right. Going concern is very important, because if the entity is not following going concern, then it is supposed to make its financial statements on net realizable value. Remember this, if an entity is not going concern is considered as something, which is obvious that if nothing is said, then going concern is being followed. But if his going concern is not followed, then you have to particularly write that on the face of your financial statements. And financial statements are then made on net realizable value basis, whatever we will realize after selling assets and settling the liabilities. All right. So going concern is very important part of your audit. Written representation, I just told you. Written representation is for those certain matters for which we are not finding a conclusive audit evidence and they are based on estimates. It's not that if you're not finding an audit evidence which you're supposed to find, then you put it in management representation letter. No. It is just for those things which involve management's estimate and there will be no evidence for an estimate. Estimate is just based on assumptions, right? Can we use the work of internal auditor? Yes, we can, but we cannot say that we relied on the work of internal auditor. It's his responsibility. No, you are an external auditor. You are signing the balance sheet. You are signing the report. It's your opinion. You can use the work, but you have to, make sure that the auditor is competent. The work is done fine. You cannot trust blindly on anyone's work. You are auditor. You are a superhuman, right? You are an external auditor. You are a superhuman. You have to make sure that the internal audit, if I'm relying on any work of internal auditor, then I need to assess the quality of the work, the competence of the auditor, the independence of the auditor, so on and so forth. Using internal audit to, auditors experts. See, even though if you're a Superman, but even Superman needs a help, right? You cannot know everything in detail. Basic example for this expert is actuaries and lawyer, right? Actuaries, it will take a certain time for discussion if you're not aware what it is. Let's just say lawyer. There is a legal angle involved and you want to take a lawyer's advice whether this case will go against the company or in the favor of the company, because then that will decide the contingent liability or provision for that matter. So you take help of an expert, a lawyer. Can you do that? Of course you can do that. But again, you will have to evaluate the expertise of the expert. You will have to evaluate the work. You cannot blindly trust. You need to review it once. All right, now we come to audit report. See, audit report depends on what type of audit or what is the quality of evidences that we have got. If there is nothing wrong, that's a perfect report. But if there is something wrong, there is material misstatement, then see, there is a very nice quick summary given here, which I'll want you to go through. See, if audit statement is not free from material misstatement, there are few material misstatements which are material but not pervasive. Now, what do we mean by pervasive? Pervasive means they are not present pervasive means present everywhere or substantially large. If I say internal controls are weak in purchase internal controls are weak in purchase. That's it. Rest is fine. This is material misstatement. But if I say internal controls are mess, be it purchase, sales, payroll, operation, whatever, then this is pervasive because this is spread to all the different parts, not just confined to one. Or I say the internal controls in sales are such a mess that their 80% sales is bad. I cannot review 80% of their sales. Now, though this is confined to one point, but this is huge, only then it is pervasive. But if it is not pervasive, only material, then you only need to give a qualified opinion. If it is both material and pervasive, adverse opinion. Something is seriously wrong. Alright? And when you are unable to obtain evidences, see, this is when you have obtained evidences. Sometimes you will not be able to obtain evidences put together. You're getting this? You're not able to figure out whether this is right or wrong because I don't have an evidence. I'm saying give me good received note, good dispatch note. They are saying no, sir. Flood came, all the documents went away with the flood. We don't have any backup. We don't have any documents. What do you do then? If again this is material but not pervasive, qualified. And if it is material and pervasive, you give disclaimer. I cannot give opinion. They are not providing me with audit evidence. The financial statements are, the misstatements are not just material, but they are pervasive. They are everywhere. They are in huge quantities. Disclaimer of opinion. I cannot give any opinion. Alright, this sums up audit report. So I have tried to cover up entire audit, a glimpse of entire audit. I know audit is much more than this, but then the time span that we have, because now you need more of self-study than a teacher guiding you. Still, I kind of had this thought that just I can kickstart your preparation. I can quickly make you go through the entire audit in less than an hour or an hour around. So this will just give you a pump. Again, let me just put down 5 to 10 minutes more, 5 minutes more. Just put down all the points. You're revising as many questions as you can, because writing right answers of the question helps you get marks. You are trying to improve the quality of your answers. How do you do that? By writing technical words. How do you remember them? While reading the questions and answers right now. Whenever you find a technical word, you write it down in a piece of paper. By the end of the day, your piece of paper should be full, front, back, whatever. And then before just going into the examination hall, half an hour or 1 hour before that, you just review that paper. But make sure you tear that paper and throw it out. Don't take it with you in the examination hall. One more thing before I close this. In your website, for those of you who are giving computer-based examination for the first time, or who are not really aware of how computer-based examination works, this is ACCA question, ACCA practice platform. Here you can use your credentials and give a mock test here. I will strongly advise you to do this tomorrow night when you revise entire course. It's very important to have a just a practice match, as they say, of what is going to happen next morning. Right? Try to schedule your revision in such a way that you are left with at least 3 hours to try one, at least, if you haven't done this before. For all our Zell students, we have done this before. We have done mock test on the Zell platform, so on and so forth. For other students, if you have done this, good. If you haven't done this, try doing this once at least before your final exam, so that you know how to write. You have all the knowledge, you know all the things, you are conceptually right. But what if you're not able to type properly? Right? Don't worry, you will be able to. And again, one last thing, all the things that are coming in my mind, I'm telling you, if you are writing it over computer, make sure no WhatsApp language. No, you are your, right? Happens. You are so fond of texting WhatsApp language, it appears in your exam as well. Make sure all these silly things don't happen. That's it from my end. I have tried to give all the relevant points to you. All the very best. Trust your preparation. Work hard and fight like a warrior in your exam. No matter how tough your exam is, if you give entire 3 hours with all that you have, you will cross the line. Trust me. All right. I'll see you after your great results, and we'll have a party, big party. Best of luck. Bye. All right. Bye-bye.